since we are maybe running out of time, I would like to call Mr. Alexander Antonyuk from the European Investment Bank. Dr. Alexander Antonyuk is working in the energy sector in charge of the Eastern Partnership countries. And he is also, I think, one of the BREC speakers from previous years. I don't remember those days, but Marat told me so. I read that EIB financed 36 billion euros in green lending, and that last year you also created EIB Global, the new development finance arm for activities beyond European Union. The aim of this EIB Global is to support EU external policies and priorities, and will still be guided by your bank's climate action and environmental sustainability goals. What would that mean for Central Asian region?
Yes, hello, yeah, can you hear me well? So I don't have...
Excellent, yes.
Yeah, okay, very good. Okay, let me quickly introduce myself and what EIB does generally and in Central Asia. So my name is Alexander Antonyuk. I coordinate, you said it correctly, our energy sector activities in Eastern Partnership, but increasingly in Central Asia as well. So I've been in the bank for 10 years, and before that I worked for the International Energy Agency, who you know all very well. In 2022, so let me first talk about EIB very briefly. You mentioned some statistics. So in fact, last year we're the largest MDB in the world. So last year our volume was 65 billion of loans. In terms of energy, last year actually was 19 billion. So 36 is probably across a few last years. But I think last year was record-breaking for energy sector investments, because previous years it was in the range of 14-15 billion. Mm-hmm. So last year was 30% of all lending went to energy. In my time, at least, it's unprecedented. In 2022, last year, you're right, EIB Global was created as a development branch of European Investment Bank, although, of course, we had projects in developing countries outside of the EU before that. Last year, EIB Global's investments reached 10.8 billion euros. So as a climate bank, we stopped financing fossil fuels in 2019. And now our energy sector concentrates, investments in energy sector concentrate essentially in three areas: energy efficiency, renewables, and networks. So last year, 7 billion of loans went to energy efficiency, another 7 billion to renewables, and 5 billion to networks. This breakdown kind of roughly corresponds to what you need to do for decarbonization of the world and individual countries. So DG INPA mentioned Global Gateway Initiative. Yeah, so we're very keen to, but we're participating in this. We're part of the initiative as one of the implementing parties. And the area of focus for as part of Global Gateway Initiative and Team Europe is the same as generally in our energy sector. So renewables, energy efficiency, and networks. Now in Central Asia, so we started work in Central Asia in 2011, started our activities. We have a fast-growing portfolio of 1 billion euros so far. And recently we approved opening 2 offices in Central Asia, which should facilitate project implementation quite a lot. In terms of existing projects, I'll highlight a few. Uzbekistan solar was mentioned, I think has been mentioned a few times now. So we are co-financiers of this year's approved 3 solar plants in Uzbekistan. But in 2021, we also financed the Total Eren 1 megawatt project also in Uzbekistan, located in Samarkand area. In Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, we finance electricity transmission infrastructure as part of Kaza 1000 project, which envisages actually trade all the way to Afghanistan and Pakistan in the future. We also financed the Karakum hydro plant. We call it climate resilience rehabilitation. Okay, looking forward, we're in discussions in Tajikistan on this mega project of Ragun hydro generation. So World Bank is a leading financier there for now. In renewable, so of course, yeah, this is a prime area of development. So all depends here on the structure of PPAs, on the bankability of projects, and how auctions are designed. So auctions have been mentioned before me. So yeah, there are, yeah, well, so if projects are done, if auctions are designed in a professional way, like Scale Solar, World Bank, or by ADB or EBRD, so normally this is bankable for us and we can finance such projects. So we hope that this trend continues in Central Asia, and there are more and more projects that come out as a result of auctions. We also participate and kind of share experience with World Bank for the Central Asia electricity markets integration, because we financed almost all the interconnectors in the European Union, so we have a lot of experience in electricity markets. So we're sharing kind of our views, what could be done in Central Asia, given all the sensitivities about creating such a common space for electricity. Now, briefly about energy efficiency. So it's a big area of decarbonization. So to take Kazakhstan as an example, 47% of primary energy demand is attributed to buildings. So buildings is the single largest source of CO2 emissions in Kazakhstan, and the majority of buildings are residential. So it's important for decarbonization efforts to do something in energy efficiency of buildings, but it's very difficult. So if you split energy efficiency projects into public buildings and residential buildings, public buildings are the easier part, because you can have a sovereign loan or sovereign guarantee. You could have a strong ministry or strong municipalities behind public buildings projects. In residential, it's much more difficult. So we're working. Yeah, so I call it the highest hanging fruit of decarbonization, but also I call it the largest hanging fruit, because the CO2 emissions is the largest source of CO2 emissions. So we're working hard with our GIZ partners to develop energy efficiency projects in the region. So one thing that I'd like listeners to take away, and maybe we can continue discussions, is that energy efficiency in residential sector requires public finance support. So even in the European Union, when we have residential energy efficiency projects, and we have a lot, usually there are grants or budgetary support. In Central Asia, fiscal space is constrained, so it's more difficult to find money in the budget for such projects. So perhaps with colleagues from DG INTPA or other donors, we could discuss how to allocate funds, grants, and other sources for energy efficiency in Central Asia, because that would help with decarbonization a lot. Okay, so I can stop here, and yeah, if you want to cover quickly hydrogen, we can maybe discuss it in Q&A.